Hi, my name is Nadia. I have been living in China since 2014. I'm going to talk about a kind of sensitive topic. I will try to be as objective as possible, and I would like for you to take into consideration that if you have never spent longer periods of time in China, if you have never lived in China, and if you don't have Chinese roots, to try to understand that you don't know enough about Chinese culture or Chinese laws, the way Chinese people do business, and the way their educational system is set up. Therefore, when we are talking about next topic, please try to form your opinion based on the information that I'm giving you right now. So, I'm originally Croatian, and I have spent most of my life in Canada. Since middle school, I have been exchange student traveling around to different countries, mostly European countries. When I finally came back to Canada, I got my diploma at college and updated with courses to education. My major is actually HR. After that, I have been a replacement teacher and teacher's assistant in Canadian primary schools in Therese and Ontario, Canada. I have worked there for 1 year. After that, I have decided to pursue my career as an English teacher in China. Since I am European, I do have a sort of accent, which maybe you cannot notice right away, but eventually, after a certain amount of talking, you will hear it pop out. And this was never obvious in China that I am what is considered a non native in China. Um, I have opened my own dance English drama school and I had 10 teachers. Uh, when I came to China, I understood that everything I knew about educational system, about European, Canadian educational system, everything that I have been doing and what I have been taught, my courses, educational courses were, I took them at University of Toronto. Everything that I have learned, I just had to forget. China is just different. Every country has different educational system. Classrooms around the world are different, and China is just different. So problems arise from the moment that I started going to the interview. Even though I was exchange student traveling a lot, I did not take my citizenship test at the end in Canada because I decided to do that once I come back from China, what was supposed to be like 1 year after, but I stayed here for quite longer. Um, to be able to get citizenship, you need to stay in the country for a certain amount of time, and every time you go out of the country, this is how longer you have to stay back in the country, which I was not willing to do until I come back from China. Therefore, I never took my citizenship. I just have a residency and Croatian passport. Because of that, this has been a major issue. I have overall 10 years of experience in teaching field. I have a major in HR and I have upgraded myself with educational courses, which still does not make a difference in China. I'm still considered non-native because of my passport. There are certain kind of questions that are being asked at interview. I was being asked, and a lot of non-natives are being asked. There is really a lot of native teachers that are young, then come from different countries after they graduate to have fun, to travel while working, which is completely fine because English teaching in China is not a serious profession. Um, it's not presented as one. You are therefore to present Western countries and to be a Western face. You're not there to actually implement education unless you're IELTS or TOEFL teacher. That's a different story. Um, what is the problem is when you come to interview as non-native, you will be asked questions which are considered in Western countries discrimination, sometimes harassment, sometimes even mobbing. Um, well, this is the thing in China, doing business and it's quite different. China is still in developing phase in some of the companies, and dealing with Westerners, it presents a challenge. It's big cultural gap in between. Um, people often get offended by these questions, but this is just the way things are and needed to be accepted like that. The questions would be related to if you're married, if you plan to have children soon, who do you live with, where are your parents from, what do your parents do, where were you born, even about your height, about your natural hair color, if this is your natural eye color, all kinds of personal questions, which are, especially for me since I spent most of my life in Canada, quite shocking, unacceptable. But then native teacher would show up, and if the native teacher is male, young, pale, blonde, light eyes, he will be accepted into job right away. Me that has more than 10 years of teaching experience, that had worked in Canadian school, will not be accepted as fast as he will be. And this is based on the beauty standards that have been set up in China and most Asian countries. And again, I please encourage you to try to be objective about this. Image of Western people in Asian countries is mostly based on Western people are people that have pale skin, pale hair, light eyes. This is what is considered Western. Everything that is not looking like their view on Western beauty is not Western. African American people would be asked if they come from Africa, even though their English is perfect. They have been a teacher for many years in States. A lot of people would not be accepted into the job because of their skin color. A lot of people will not get accepted into position due to their appearance, physical appearance. So there's a lot of discrimination going on. From my personal experience, it's something that you need to learn how to deal with. There were a lot of people that would come here to teach, and a couple of years ago, you didn't even have to have a police clearance. No criminal background check was not necessary to get a job in China. Therefore, I have seen a lot of older men over 40 working in kindergartens, which made me ask myself, what are these people doing here? Are they really teachers? And especially since I have been in HR in one of the educational companies here, I have encountered quite a lot of cases like this, older men from States, Australia, Germany, England, that would hang around here and get jobs which they're not really qualified for, only based on the fact that they are natives. A lot of young people come here to work and travel, which is fine, but they do not have any experience and then encounter quite a lot of problems when arriving here. This is maybe their first time that they're going to rent their own apartment, maybe first time, first job for some of them, first, let's call it a serious job with responsibilities. So first time they're facing challenges, oh, need to open a bank account, need to set up so many things, and mommy and daddy are not here. So a lot of people would get a job. They would just show up at an interview or so-called demo class, which in 45 minutes you show your quality as a teacher through your lesson plan and your teaching techniques that you implement into this demo. A lot of them would just teach about apples, pears, and which color is this? Is table blue? Yes, it's blue, and they get the job based on their appearance. So I would call this a very unfair treatment. It's injustice that is happening right here, right now. Things are getting better since I live in Shenzhen, which is next to Hong Kong. Hong Kong has very strict rules, and Shenzhen is now being affected by Hong Kong. And I'm really glad because of that. And hopefully in the next 5 to 6 years, Shenzhen will be an example for the rest of the China. Entire Guangdong province will be an example because finally it's merging back with Macau and Hong Kong, and these places have been under different kind of regime and different kind of regulations, and things are getting better. So please, one more time, this was my personal experience and my personal opinion, which is not very objective, but try to think about that and try to think about that. It's hard to understand some of these things unless you have been living here for a while. or you do have Chinese roots and you do understand how Chinese people do business and why. Well, thank you for watching. Bye.